Welcome to the Heck Edmondson Pavilion in Seattle, Washington for Pac-10 basketball on Fox Sports Net. Tonight, it's one of the most surprising stories in college basketball. The Arizona State Sun Devils and the Washington Huskies. And hi, everybody, I'm Steve Physiak. Arizona State is one of those made-for-TV basketball movies. Last year, they finished last in the Pac-10 Conference, and they lose a total of 20 games. They have off-season legal problems in the summer. Their coach resigns 1 month before the first practice, and then the assistant coach leads the team from the depths of despair to become a contender. And joining me tonight is the coach, George Raveling. George, it's happening at Arizona State, and it's happening because of their coach, Don Newman.
Well, it's also happening because someone forgot to tell Don Newman that he was inheriting a team that had been selected to finish last in the Pac-10. He had a simple formula for making his team a winner. He challenged them on a day-by-day basis to operate at their maximum. Their 11-4 record is testimony to the fact that when you play hard, you play together, and you play smart, you can get the desired results.
But even Coach Newman will tell you, I've got to have a star to lead me, and he's got one in Jeremy Veal.
Well, he's the leader of the Sun Devils production team. This young man will end up being Arizona State's all-time leading scorer in a conference that's rich in guard talent. This young man doesn't have to take a back seat to anybody, Steve.
All right, let's get back to reality, because reality says that Arizona State must face a very good Washington team, and they've got a Big Mac attack in this Todd McCullough, who's 7 feet, 280 pounds.
Well, when McCullough was recruited, he was looked upon as a project, but through sheer determination and hard work, he has elevated his skills to where today he's looked upon as the best low-post scorer in the Pac-10 Conference and was a preseason All-American selection in a couple publications.
We'll see if Washington can take a page out of the Arizona State storybook season. All right, it's the Huskies and Sun Devils coming your way next on Fox Sports Net.
It is a beautiful night in Seattle where we invite you to come inside. We're near 6,000 expected tonight at Heck Edmondson Pavilion for Arizona State at 11-4 and the University of Washington at 8-2. A lot of enthusiasm for the Huskies this year. There are only 2 losses this year, tough losses to Oklahoma State and South Alabama. And as we check the starting lineups, well, Arizona State has speed in guys like Laser, Veal, House, and Lewis. Point guard Alan Lewis leads the nation in assists at more than 9 per game. Washington has huge twin towers at 14 feet of Patrick Bemerling and Todd McCullough, but Dion Luton and Donald Watts have been the hot guys lately, combining to average 45 points the last 2 games. And the coaches at Washington, there's Bob Bender in his 5th year in Seattle. Every single season the program has grown from 5 wins when he got here in 1994 to 17 last year. Don Newman, what a wild story. Played pro basketball and pro football in the same season in the early 80s. Had a rough time coaching at Cal State Sacramento, averaging 22 losses a year, but he has a very bright future, an intense guy and a hard worker, and his Sun Devils have shown their strength this year. All right, George Raveling, let's take a look at your Burger King key matchup.
Boy, we have 2 excellent basketball players here. Bobby Laser, thus far, his performance tells me that he's headed for an all-Pac-10 season. Donald Watts, he's their most talented player at the offensive end. He's their most talented player at the defensive end. Donald Watts' time in the spotlight has finally come.
Yeah, he had a rough freshman year, shooting just 22% from the floor, then came back to average 9 points per game last year and is up at near to 15. Arizona State leads this series 25-16, and Washington has won the last 3.
Steve, by Monday morning, we'll have a pretty good idea just how good these 2 basketball teams are.
Both these teams talking like this is the key game this weekend. Washington will take on Arizona on Sunday. Arizona State will take on Washington State. But when you go on the road, take care of business on the first game.
What's amazing, Arizona State's record is 11-4, Steve, but this is only the third road game they've played all season long.
You see Arizona State in those maroon red jerseys, Washington in the white. You'll also see the star Jeremy Veal not in his normal number 21 uniform. He's wearing number 33 without the name because he simply forgot his jersey. That ball thrown out of bounds. What Bob Bender would like to see is intensity on defense, and there's Jeremy Veal averaging 20 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and he's an excellent leader on this team, the senior. This is Todd McCullough and Patrick Femerling. They are the 2 7-footers, and Femerling loses it out of bounds, so it'll turn that basketball over Arizona State. Washington is coming off a victory over Washington State, but George, they turned the ball over 28 times. That must end today. Underneath, beautiful move by Mike Batiste. So Arizona State strikes first and takes a 2-0 lead. Jan Wooten is their point guard, and he will be defended by Eddie House. Todd McCullough, they double down. He still scores. He's shooting 67% this year and drops in his first 2, and the turnover by Arizona State.
2 trips down the court, 2 passes right into the post. It's obvious that Bob Bender's going to build his offense from the inside out. The Huskies play a lot better when they get Todd McCullough into the game early. It builds their confidence.
And they doubled down on him. Actually, he had to take that shot near 3 Arizona State defenders. And they're defending Bobby Laser, who is 6 feet 8 inches tall, on the 7-foot McCullough. Laser normally a forward. That ball ripped away. Femerling picks it up. And that's something that Bob Bender would like to see more of from the high post from Pat Femerling. I mean, he wears number 22 for his favorite player of all time, Detlef Schrempf. But Detlef took a lot more shots than Mr. Femerling. This is Alan Lewis kicking it over to Mike Batiste.
An early example of why Lewis leads the nation in assists with 9 a game.
Boy, he drew the defense and kicked it. There's McCullough again, this time missing, and it rolls out of bounds. A 4-4 ball game. First 2 minutes of this game. George, that's what you're talking about with Lewis.
Dribble penetration will break the defense down. When we say break the defense down, we mean normally it'll draw double coverage on the penetrating guard, leaving someone open for the easy shot.
Eddie House misses. McCullough rebounding. Todd McCullough made his first shot, has missed his last 2. Veal now defending Jan Wooten. Is that one reason they want to keep Veal out of foul trouble, to have him defend Wooten?
I think that when you have a short rotation like the Sun Devils do, you've got to be concerned about personal fouls. Thus far, the Sun Devils have had great defensive discipline.
And Eddie House drops the 3-pointer. Arizona State with a 3-point lead, 7-4. Arizona State with big wins this year over Cincinnati, USC, and Texas A&M. They've also had very difficult losses to teams like Kansas and UCLA. Both times they had chances to win. McCullough drops in 2 more to make it a 1-point game, and Laser goes coast to coast. Batiste for 3. That's long, and the rebound taken down by Donald Watts. We haven't called Donald's name very much, and he's really played well lately. But Luke, terrible shot. He has thrown up 2 air balls, and both times he's missed by at least 1.5 feet.
Well, Luton is a streak shooter. If he gets off to an early start and hits his first couple of shots, he's usually tough to defend. In this situation, he's missed his first 2 and missed them horribly.
And there's Watson, the rebound. But you're right about Luton. He has been hot. Last 2 ball games averaging 22.5 points per game, including 50% from 3-point range. Watts, normally a better than 70% foul shooter, misses his first opportunity. Donald Watts, whose father Slick is in the crowd tonight. He was an NBA star for the Seattle Supersonics. in the 70s. And there's the rebound taken away from Laser by Femmerling, and the dunk gives the Huskies the lead.
Early on in this basketball game, the Huskies' superior size is creating an enormous problem for the Sun Devils defensively.
The Sun Devils having to go against those two 7-footers, Femmerling and McCullough. We did that game Arizona and UCLA last week, and you said when the game started you thought Arizona had more pressure on them to win the game than UCLA. How about a contest like this?
I think there's equal motivation to win this particular game, because these are two teams that have thought of at this point in the Pac-10 race to have a realistic shot to gain an invitation to the Field of 64. But this Arizona State team, they have a unique motivation. They're wearing an invisible sign on their jersey for the entire season, Steve, and that sign says, "Respect me."
The last time Arizona State was picked to finish last in the Pac-10 media was 1992-93, and the Sun Devils went 18-8 and 11-7 in the Pac-10 conference. Well, Washington has taken a 3-point lead, and coming right down to lay it in is Jeremy Beal.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Arizona State drop out of that man-to-man into a 3-2 zone. It certainly will shut down that interior of the Husky offense.
This is Luton driving in, and will they call a block? Yes, they will. Oh, and Alan Lewis cannot believe the call by the official Bob Garibaldi, who's one of the veterans and an outstanding Pac-10 official. But Luton was out of control.
I feel pretty confident that somewhere in America right now sits Bill Freer watching this basketball game, and I'll bet he's got a big smile on his face because he's awfully proud of this basketball team. All these Sun Devil players are youngsters that he recruited.
And he also was the man who signed Don Newman, who took over the interim tag. This is Todd McCullough inside, and McCullough with that hook has given Washington the lead. Steve Physioc, George Raveling with you. It is Washington with a 3-point lead. This is a Husky outfit that won 17 games last year but lost a star in Mark Sanford and also a tough kid in Jamie Booker. Well, Arizona State throws it away, but talk about what they lost in Sanford and Booker and how Bob Bender's been able to build without those guys.
Well, in Booker, they lost their inspirational leader, and Mark Sanford, they lost a player who was hard to guard, who drew multiple defenses. The thought around the Pacific Northwest was that the Washington Husky basketball program was going to struggle this year. But Bob Bender has done an outstanding job of getting this team to believe that they can win even without Booker and Sanford.
Well, he likes the way they're taking care of the basketball. They forced 4 turnovers and only committed 1. Femmerling and McCullough both grabbed the miss by Arizona State and have a chance to increase their 3-point lead.
Well, on the surface, this would appear to be a game of speed and quickness versus size and strength. And early on, the Huskies are winning the battle.
This is Donald Watts. We have not said his name again. I mean, he's taken one shot. Luton goes deep, but he had his foot on the line. A 2-pointer for Dion Luton. And it is Washington by 5. Arizona State has to shoot their 3-pointers. I mean, they went 1 for 16 against the UCLA Bruins, one of the top teams in the nation, and barely lost the game. 1 for 16 isn't enough for this club.
The early offensive success being experienced by the University of Washington is certainly going to enhance their confidence. This is a team with a fragile personality.
Is that the main loss that Bob has had when he lost Sanford and Booker?
Well, Booker was a tough SOB that he would try to make that team refuse to lose.
This is Jeremy Beal, pretty moved to the hoop and tapped in by Bobby Laser.
I think that was by Batiste.
Okay, they're giving it to Mike Batiste. Fans behind us want a foul over the back, but they aren't getting it. Still a 3-point lead for Washington. Donald Watts is being defended nicely nicely by Alan Lewis. And a foul. No, a traveling call against Donald Watts. He stares at the official, rather puzzled.
On that last possession, Donald Watts had Todd McCullough wide open in the low post. He would have been better advised to put the ball inside and let McCullough operate in there. Once you get McCullough hurting the Sun Devil defense, Donald Watts will get all the wide open jump shots he wants.
Field turns it down, and two new Sun Devils come into the game. That is Jason Patton, who just took that shot, and also Urick Kelly, number 40, a 6'6" senior from the Bahamas. Also in the game for Washington is Chris Thompson. He'll take over as their point guard. Luton, he missed terribly in his first two shots. Couldn't even catch iron, and he has dropped his last two baskets. A travel called against Alan Lewis. There was Dion Luton, a 6'4" sophomore from Del City, Oklahoma.
There's no doubt in my mind that turnovers are basketball's cancer, and coaches are like doctors, so searching for a cure, Steve.
Bob Bender was certainly trying to do that against Washington State, barely win with his team committing 28. Lewis wants to push it. Gets it to Batiste. He can't score, and it's a charge on Mike.
Arizona State runs what coaches call a sideline break. Most of the time they're going to bring it up the right side, and they use the big man as the trailer, and he'll trail right down the middle of the lane. Obviously, Washington had him well scouted, and they had a defender in the lane waiting for the big man to come barreling down, and they took the defensive charge.
McCullough is double and triple and still scores.
Great patience by Todd McCullough and a good read of the defense.
Lewis missing, McCullough rebounding, keeps that ball up high. Is McCullough one of those guys you have to force him to turn to his right because he seems so smooth and comfortable going to his left?
What you have to do is force him away from the baseline. 99% of his moves are moves heading toward the baseline. You've got to force him back in toward the middle of the lane.
Well, McCullough has 6 early points, 3 of 6 for the floor. Arizona State with the basketball, down 5. They've got Laser back in with Alan Lewis, Jason Patton, Urick Kelly, and Jeremy Veal. Travel with the basketball, and Arizona State has really struggled taking care of the basketball in this game's first 8 minutes. Washington on a 14-6 run the last 5 minutes. Thrown away by Chris Walcott.
Right here.
This game has been a struggle of wills to start it. Neither team really taking care of the basketball the last 5 minutes very well. We'll come right back. See that beautiful little baby? She wanted to say, welcome Fox Sports Southwest to our Pac-10 basketball game as Washington has an 18-13 lead. Steve Physiak, George Raveling with you. Arizona State with the basketball. Jeremy Veal misses long. Chris Thompson wants to push it. He's got Luton on the wing. Veal almost fouled Dion. And there's the steal by Urick Kelly. Arizona State really needed somebody to step up, George. McCullough again able to go baseline this time. Laser's defense is better. Patton loops it high, and Bobby Laser knocks it home, and that's 4 straight after the Don Newman timeout.
You know, I look out here at this Arizona State starting lineup, and I really believe that their starting lineup is every bit as athletic as Arizona's or UCLA. Now, I'm not saying their starting lineup is as talented, but it's certainly every bit as athletic.
This is Chris Thompson driving to the hoop. If he can do that, if Bob Bender can have one more weapon on the floor, well, that can open up that middle for McCullough. Arizona State is really having a rough time on the offensive boards. Personal foul will be called against Jason Patton. That is his first. So Eddie House and Mike Batiste come back in the game. But to start the year, George, they called them the Great Eight for Arizona State and for Don Newman. Reggie Hester was suspended for off-court problems, and we were told today that he will not return to the team for the rest of this season. So the Great Eight have been cut to the Magnificent Seven, but that's all that Newman has. He doesn't have 9, 10 guys to send on the floor.
Well, I'm not sure that is as much an advantage to Don Newman as it is a disadvantage. One, he doesn't have to worry about creating playing time for players on the bench, and two, the players on the floor are going to be a lot more selective in how they go about administering the game.
But he's got those 7 guys who play a lot of minutes, and he demands that they hustle throughout the game. Right now, they're being dominated on the boards, 13-9.
This is a well-conditioned Arizona State team.
Good feed inside, and the finish by Donald Watts. Chris Thompson with the assist. Now he comes back to defend Alan Lewis. They're doing a whale of a job on Jeremy Beal. Eddie House, though, with the pull-up. This is the great sophomore. We really think he's going to be an exciting player in the Pac-10 for years to come.
Arizona State will realize a lot greater success offensively if they will operate off the dribble, particularly dribble penetration. Washington does not handle dribble penetration well.
Michael Johnson now in the game, the Washington High School Player of the Year last season. Where's number 23? And there's Eddie House. He's trying to talk to Bob Garibaldi about the elbow that Chris Thompson has been throwing at him. And now Eddie House is talking with Thompson. Yeah, we started. Both these teams fired up. We watched their practices today. A lot of emotion. Donald Watts misses deep. Another rebound for the Huskies. Watts for 3. Oh, Watts and Luton have just missed terribly in this game at times, and then they'll knock a 3-pointer down.
There's a noticeable absence of intensity at the defensive end for Arizona State. Coach Don Newman's got to be awfully disappointed about the early defensive performance of the Sun Devils. Essentially right now, the Sun Devils are just trading baskets with the Huskies.
They're down only 1. Watts swatted away. Batiste going for the save was Alan Lewis, but Mike Batiste, he and his teammate Bobby Laser are 1 and 2 at block shots in the conference this year.
And when you think of Arizona State's composition of its team, you certainly wouldn't conclude that they would be the #1 shot blocking team in the Pac-10 conference. You well might suggest that it would be UCLA.
But now that they've got Jelani McCoy back, that might change. Chris Walcott making the jumper. Misses the left-hander, partially blocked by Laser. Walcott gets it back and scores. Jeremy Veal will be fouled, and he'll be at the free throw line. Jeremy has been really limited in this game. The number of shots he's been able to take, only 4 shots in the game. He's made just 1. They have closed him down defensively. It seems like every time he touches the ball, there's 2 white jerseys on him.
Jeremy Veal is the type of offensive player that will draw maximum defensive attention for 40 minutes. Whoever gets his defensive assignment, there will be no stops along the road for a rest.
And he is a kid that has ripped Washington in the past. Last year scored 31 in 1 game, 30 in the second game in Seattle, and he scored 25 points, George, in the second half. Coming back in, Dion Luton. Leaving is Donald Watts. So it's Walcott, Thompson, Luton, Johnson, and Femmerling on the floor for the Huskies. Veal misses the free throw, and it's 24-21 Washington. Luton. Well, that's a quick catch and shoot. He wasn't even thinking of throwing that pass down. Is Dion one of those guys who's think shot first? Here's Mike Batiste with the block. Washington, though, has a 3-point lead.
And the Huskies already have 10 offensive rebounds.
Being out-rebounded total 17-11. They've also turned the ball over. Arizona State has turned it over 3 more times, but they're only down by 3. Dion Luton missing long. He is now 2 for 7 in the game. Here's Eddie House. Oh, and you know what? They've made some decisions where they're getting in the air and then making decisions.
What they're doing is they're rushing into mistakes. They like to play at an accelerated pace. But when you play at an accelerated pace, you run the risk of making poor decisions.
Femmerling has it partially blocked. Lewis kicking it off to Uric Kelly, and he is fouled. And Femmerling is a guy who has been known to get in foul trouble in his past. And for Patrick Femmerling, that will be personal foul number 1.
2. Who's before the shot? 2.
Uric Kelly going to the free throw line. He's from Nassau in the Bahamas. Went to St. Gregory's Junior College in Oklahoma, where he averaged 19 points per game. Todd McCullough comes back in for the Huskies, replacing Chris Walcott.
Among the many reasons that Arizona State is behind at this juncture is the Washington defense has done an outstanding job on Bobby Laser. He has been limited to 1 shot in the first half.
They have taken their big 2 scorers, Laser and Veal, out. And Arizona State has to feel pretty good being this close to the game. Luton misses. Femmerling, did he go over the back? Yes, he did, and that is number 2 for Patrick Femmerling.
When Luton gets the ball, you almost feel like someone told him if he passed the basketball that he would have to stay after school and write on the blackboard 1,000 times. I should not pass the basketball. I must shoot it. He shoots the ball every single time he gets it.
If you're open, shoot. If you're not, force it. It's a critical key to becoming a good scorer. Also could get you on the bench. Mike Batiste back in the game. He has kept his Arizona State team in with 10 points, including 5 of 6 shooting from the floor. Bobby Laser with the turn. Wind to the teeth of the defense. Stolen by Eddie House. He's got Laser. Instead, Alan Lewis leaps high for the jam.
And all of a sudden, the Sun Devils have worked themselves back into the basketball game. 24-24.
And they've turned it over more times. They've been out-rebounded. They have not shot the threes well. Veal has been shut down, and they're tied. I think Don Newman has to feel pretty good where they are on the road. I thought Alan Lewis was trying to maybe give another assist to pad his nation-leading 9 per game. He had Laser. We'll just get the 2 points.
And here's the zone defense that I anticipated about 6 or 7 minutes ago.
McCullough grabs the miss by Femmerling and drops it home to give the Huskies back the lead. Eddie House. Did he turn it over? Yes, he did. I believe he dribbled along the sideline.
Eddie House is the type of player that if you're setting a defense against him, you want to get him to play fast. When he plays fast, he plays out of control.
Well, he has been out of control on the last 2 possessions. House, all freshman Pac-10 team last year, averaging 12.5 points per game. Now goes to the bench, and Jason Patton back in. Jan Woot now back in as the point guard for Washington. Watts, quick catch and turn and score.
Nice baseline screen set by Todd McCullough to 3 Donald Watts.
And the turnover. 6 for the Huskies. Beautiful reverse by Jeremy Field in the face of the Husky Twin Towers.
I talked with Don Newman this morning, and he said, George, we teach high-octane offense, and there is a great example. Take it out of the net, go right back at him, and put it in the basket.
Jeremy has 4 points. Arizona State off to the races, and the Sun Devils throw it away again. And they have not been forced errors because of the great defense by Washington. Watts getting it low. McCullough knocked away. Batiste. Femmerling gets it back to score. Patrick Femmerling, a member of the German national team. He left the team for 4 games in December to play for the German national team. They won 2 of 3 games as they're trying to qualify for the 2000 Olympics. A travel will be called against Jason Patton. What is that? 3 turnovers for the Sun Devils in the last 4 possessions. 32-26. There is the German Patrick Femmerling inside, and the Huskies are up by a half dozen. Washington has their biggest lead of the night over Arizona State, 6 points. You'll want to stay with us at halftime. We've got a great interview with Arizona State's head coach Don Newman. We'll introduce you to this week's candidate for the John R. Wooden Award presented by Imogen Medical Technologies, plus highlights from our game here tonight, all coming up in just a few minutes. 13-6. And Washington had 14 turnovers in the first half in their win over Washington State. Dan Dick out now in the game as the point guard, and he scores on his first shot. Also in Thalo Green. He comes up with the Arizona State turnover. 3 freshmen on the floor, 1 a red shirt, 2 are true. Oh! Batiste with another block, but it goes right to McCullough, and they have their biggest lead. A 10-point advantage for the Huskies. And a technical foul has been called. If it's against Mike Batiste, remember, it's not only a technical, it is a personal foul. That will be his second, and he's the one guy that Don Newman was trying to keep out of foul trouble.
UCLA turned the game around when he was on the bench. He only played 18 minutes against UCLA. It was a productive 18 minutes, but they need 30 to 35 minutes a game out of him, Steve.
And Jan Wooten has now made 12 of 12 foul shots from the line this year. Here's Mike Batiste. Wooten makes them both. It is a 12-point Washington lead here in the first half, and it's been a 3-minute stretch. And Don Newman saw his team not playing well, but competing, staying in the game. It was tied at 24 since the time they've been outscored 14-2. Oh, McCullough is killing him inside now. Todd McCullough with 12. Scores, but George, is Arizona State offensively going at too quick a pace?
I think that basketball is best played at a variety of speeds. I don't think you can continually play slow, and I don't think you can continually play fast. Right now, Arizona State needs to slow the pace of their offense down, test the patience of the Husky defense. They're playing right into the hands of the Huskies right now because they're shooting quick, and Todd McCullough and Femmerling don't have to play defense for long stretches, and it keeps them out of foul trouble.
Bobby Laser again with a quick shot. It was within 10 seconds as they received the basketball. Johnson inside McCullough. 2 more. Give him 14.
Guess what I'm saying? McCullough can save all of his energy for offense because he only has to play defense for 15 seconds at a time. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, they took that shot within 10 seconds of their offense. There's a steal try by Uri Kelly. It goes out of bounds, and it went off Phalo Green.
Todd McCullough's self-talk is right now, Sun Devils, please keep shooting the ball quick. You are helping me out.
And he is well rested. He has 14 points to go with his 8 rebounds. And kid, what we call Big Province, is playing quite well. The kid from Manitoba. Well, we are there after tonight's ball game. You can watch Fox Sports News, all the highlights from the NBA, college basketball, and of course the Pac-10 conference. You can watch it after the game. And as we look around the conference, Stanford is off. They'll play California on Saturday. Here's a look at the play inside to Todd McCullough. They've got a big game on Sunday here with Arizona coming to town.
On Saturday at 3 o'clock. What's interesting about Sunday, Steve, is that the Sun Devils play Washington State in Pullman on Sunday. And you ask, why is Arizona State playing Washington State on Sunday instead of Saturday? The gym is being used for the state junior miss contest.
Oh my goodness, that would have never happened if George Raveling was still there as head basketball coach.
You could count on that.
I'm sure Kevin Eastman had little choice. Almost a steal. Luton picks it up, and once again, as soon as he picks it up, he shoots. Here's Lewis looking for laser. A foul will be called, and is it against? Well, we will check. It will send Alan Lewis to the foul line for 2 shots, and will go against Dan Dick now, his first personal. If you're Don Newman, you're down 14 points, you got a minute 28 left. What do you want to do in these final 1.5 minutes?
The first thing that I would try to do is get this under a double-digit deficit. I would run some set offense, get the ball in the hands of my best scorer, Jeremy Beal. I would extend my defense full court, particularly against a team that's led the conference in turnovers and is presently averaging 18 turnovers a game. I would make them prove that they can handle a ball under supreme circumstances. McCullough
scores again. Give him 16. They've got to find a way to defend this guy McCullough, though. He's catching it too deep. 44-30 Washington. Eddie House, pretty move. Bob Bender's done a nice job staying with his game plan. Get the ball, McCullough. He's got 16 of his team's 44 points.
At this point, University of Washington has enough lead that they can afford to trade baskets a little bit with Arizona State here.
But you really should stay with us. Bob Bender also said, you know, we have had a situation develop this year that we have not been able to hold on to leads. We've had too many teams come back. They led 14-2. They led by 17 in the second half against Washington State, and the Cougars almost came back and won that game. McCullough with his 9th rebound. Luton catches and shoots again. This time he scored. Dion Luton has taken 10 shots, made 3. He's got 9 points. 15-point Washington lead. Alan Lewis does it himself, and no foul call. Green goes crashing in, and an offensive foul will be called. And I think there have been times in this game where Washington has been caught up, particularly with the younger players, in Arizona's pace. They're rushing their game as well. Uri Kelly at the buzzer doesn't go, and in the last 7 minutes, it was all Huskies. Don Newman once looked at the scoreboard that read 24 all. Since that time, his team has been ripped, and Washington has a 15-point lead. Washington with a 47-32 lead on Arizona State. And as we check the first half stats, you'll find them almost entirely in favor of Washington. 45% shooting. They out-rebounded Arizona State by 10. They committed 7 fewer turnovers. And Arizona State, just the way they were rushing their offense, I know disappointing Coach Don Newman. Batiste leads the Sun Devils. Washington with McCullough and also Femerling. Their Twin Towers combining for 24. But where's Veal? Where's Laser?
They have 3 field goals between them in the first half. An outstanding job by Bob Bender's Washington Huskies of defending the 2 outstanding scores for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, Laser and Veal combined to average 39 points per game, and they've only scored 6 in the first half. Let's see if they slow down their offense. And Bob Bender, let's see if he's still determined to go inside of McCullough. Why not? He goes 8 for 14. McCullough's doubled. It's knocked in the air. Todd gets it back. Shot clock's down to 5. Luton, well, he's not afraid of shooting, and that ball is knocked out. Luton tries to save it and does. Beautiful hustle by Dion Luton. Luton to Wooten, and woo-woo. 17-point lead for Washington, their biggest advantage of the night. Luton's done a nice job defensively on Jeremy Veal, as he and Donald Watts have both shared defensive responsibilities on the Arizona State Star. There's a steal. Oh, and Jan Wooten tried to hit Dion Luton this time, and they lose it out of bounds.
If we were able to see the replay of this, when he made that pass, he was at the 3-foot mark. He could have hit a jump stop and powered up, threw it all the way back out to the 18-foot mark.
Eddie House. Short. McCullough with his 11th rebound.
There's nothing about the Sun Devils' body language that allows me to believe that they have the necessary energy to get back into this ball game. 18 minutes is a long time to go, Steve, but as a coach, you look out on the floor and you look for some tangible evidence to tell you that this team can make a substantial run.
Well, Don Newman had to be concerned as his team played one of their worst first halves this year, down by 15 points. And this was the team that took Kansas to overtime earlier this year before losing by only 2 points. Were beaten this Monday by UCLA only by 5 points, even though they shot 1 of 16 from 3-point range. Watts getting 3 foul shots, misses the first 2, and this is a very good foul shooting team. And there's his father, Slick Watts, shaking his head. He was a terrific scorer at Xavier University in New Orleans, and later with the Seattle Supersonics, where one time in 1976 led the NBA in both assists and steals. Jeremy Veal flashing to the hoop. McCullough with his 12th rebound. Luke, what a move, misses, but Watts is right there to chip in his miss.
Everything is going right tonight for the Huskies, and nothing's going right for the Sun Devils.
The lead is 20 for Washington. Bob Bender has to be proud the way his team has played. This guy's got some skills. He's got those long arms. He can leap. Femerling missing. Laser rebounding. Well, they made the basket within 6 seconds, George, of their offense starting. One pass.
When you're down 18 points, you're going to have to make the deficit up on the defensive end of the floor. When you have superior speed and quickness, it would seem like you would want to go with a full-court press, particularly against a team that historically does not handle the ball well. You're talking about a team in Washington that averages 18 turnovers a game.
In this game, clearly Washington's pace the way they like it. They're running the half-court game. Very nice nicely, getting the ball inside to Todd McCullough. Like this situation, he's been able to go baseline, either pick up the foul or score, and then they're letting Arizona State create their own problems with unforced turnovers. That is the second foul on Bobby Laser. Around the Pac-10 conference on this Thursday night, games going on as Oregon leading USC 41-32. We'll have a chance to see the Ducks against UCLA on FX this weekend. Oregon State is down to the Bruins 41-29 in the first half, and there's Arizona by just 5 at the half over those tough Cougars. All the highlights on Fox Sports News, as well as all of college basketball and the NBA scores and highlights after the show. Jeremy Veal missing. McCullough with his 13th rebound. His career high is 20, and that was against Arizona State 2 years ago. Got it at their pace. I think Bob Bender has to feel good about the way Jan Wooten is playing. He's been looking for a point guard, played very well against the Cougars this past week, and now playing very well, I think, tonight.
The difference at the offensive end of the floor for each team is that the University of Washington's offense is certainly a lot more patient, it's more cohesive, and it has a greater sense of purpose. They move the ball with a sense of purpose. They know that their first instinct is to try to build each possession from the inside out. If it's not there, then we'll look for the perimeter shot. They're going to make the they're going to make Arizona State prove that they can defend Todd McCullough in the low post, and thus far they haven't been able to do it, Steve.
Well, even though they have a 19-point lead, Bob Bender's advantage could be much more if his team made their free throws. Pat Beverling just missed terribly on those two chances, and Batiste goes low to score. Mike Batiste with 14. Watts was trying to post up. Lewis with the defense. There's the steal. Field flashes down the floor, drives right into the face of Patrick Beverling. And are they calling a defensive foul? Yes, they will on Patrick Beverling, and that is number 3.
Jeremy Veal taking it right at the big man and challenging him, making him make a difficult decision. Are you going to try to block this shot, or are you going to let me have a clear lane to the basket for the easy put in?
Well, they certainly have closed down this remarkable score. He came in 3rd in Arizona State scoring history behind Stephen Smith and also Ron Riley. But Veal has only 6 points in this game, picks up a foul and 2 free throws on this drive, and closes the gap to 15 at 53-38. Washington with a 15-point lead on Arizona State. It's time to take a look at our 7-Up final exam trivia. When was the last time Washington won the Pac-10 championship? And I believe they had a gentleman from overseas, a couple. And they've got a couple from outside the United States, and Big Todd McCullough, and also Patrick Beverling, and this is Thalo Green, and McCullough picks it up and has it knocked away, and Arizona State has a chance to close it to 13 or 12. Veal quickly tied up by Watts, and then Jeremy just throws it up, was hoping for the foul but doesn't get the call. Jan Wooten missing the 3, gets it back and scores the 2. He scores pretty well off the dribble.
Arizona State will not allow themselves the opportunity to get back in the basketball game. They've had numerous opportunities to get this under a double-digit deficit, but they won't allow themselves an opportunity to get back in the game. I've always said that basketball is 60% mental. I think more teams lose, Steve, because of mental mistakes than they do physical ability. And this is a great example.
Jeremy Veal missing another three-pointer. Veal has just had a rough evening from the floor. 2 for 10 now. Didn't you tell me last year that, you know, if your team, particularly with Harold Miner, was running well, you let them run their plays? But if they struggle, hey, baby, I'm calling the offense from the side.
I had a manager sit behind me at the games, and if we went 4 straight possessions without scoring a basket, then on the next 3 possessions down the floor, we ran a set play every single time until we scored 2 times in a row. I think the coach has got to take that responsibility. You take the responsibility out of your point guard's hand, and that's what they pay you for as a coach, to make those kind of decisions.
Bobby Laser, they're trying to get him going. Both Veal and Laser have just been ice cold in the game. Now 4 for 15 from the floor.
If you have a point guard on the floor who's making bad decisions or not thinking, you have to think for him and you have to make his decisions.
And really, Alan Lewis has been rushing this game. So too is Jeremy Veal. Here's Eddie House. Ahead to Veal. Veal has it ripped away, and a foul will be called on Donald Watts. Meantime, Bob Bender's done a nice job not going away from his game. He's got McCullough, who has 19 points and 15 rebounds. That was just a poor pass by Green.
But it was excellent defensive anticipation. The Sun Devils are finally starting to adjust to the interior passes of the Washington Huskies.
It's only the first foul on Donald Watts. The free throw by Veal is good, and Jeremy is 77% foul shooter this year. He was the career active scoring leader, returning the Pac-10, 1,617 points to start the night. And look at this. They have cut it to 15 again at 57-42.
The $64,000 question for the Sun Devils right now is, do they have a plan that would allow them to get back in the game?
Veal scores at the end to cut it to 13. There's still plenty of time left, 13 and a half. And Washington has shown stretches this year where they do not just pound that victory away. They've let too many teams come back in games. They had a 17-point lead in the second half, we told you, against Washington State, and they saw that evaporate to 5. The foul is called against Jeremy Veal.
Don Newman has switched to some full court pressure now with traps along the sidelines. What this does, it begins to bring his team out of their lethargic mentality defensively. It's going to energize them, give them an opportunity to come up with some easy baskets.
Luton missing. Thalo Green all by himself misses the shot, but McCullough does not. 21 points, 16 rebounds for Todd McCullough. Veal, finally a catch and shoot where he really had a good look at the hoop. Jeremy going for the foul. He committed his first earlier. As just one, as Wooten continues to try and penetrate and dish. Instead, he penetrates and shoots and scores. Like you said, George, they've got to put a stop to this defensively, not start heating up offensively. Jason Patton inside, scores. And again, it's down to 13, but this is where they've been unable to put any defensive stops against Washington. Luton makes a pass. Watts misses the 3. Uric Kelly tried to tap it to himself. Instead, it's the Huskies basketball, and Luton scores. Alley-oop to Uric Kelly off his hands and out of bounds. We've got a time under the floor. Dion Luton now with 11 points as Washington has their 15-point lead back. Washington holds on to their 15-point lead that they had at halftime, 63-48 with 11:44 to go. When was the last time Washington won the Pac-10 championship? That's our final exam 7-up trivia question. 1985, they tied USC. They had Detlef Schrempf. They had Christian Velp. And they were the Pac-10 champions. Chris Thompson is fouled by Alan Lewis. Watts, Luton, Thompson, McCullough, and Velo Green on the floor for the Huskies. House, Laser back in with Lewis, Uric Kelly, and boy, they just can't put a defensive stop to Washington at all. Nice job by the Huskies. Well, again, not running the offense. Luton brings it down.
The difference between the two teams at the offensive end of the floor is the Huskies have a plan on how they're going to score and how they're going to win the basketball game. Obviously, Don Newman has given the Sun Devils a game plan that he thinks will work, but they certainly are not executing it.
Foul called against Bobby Laser, his third of the game. Well, they have not gone away from that game plan. I mean, they have been in the rush offense throughout this game.
I believe that the Sun Devils are too committed to an accelerated offensive pace in this game. I think that the game for them dictates that you must slow your offense down and be more possession-oriented. Force Washington to play defense for long stretches.
Uric Kelly missing long. Laser tries to tap it in. He's having his roughest game of the year as Bobby now 2 of 6. Only 6 shots. We have a whistle and a violation against the University of Washington. It was a blocking foul against Chris Thompson, Dion Luton. And that is his second foul. So Femmerling comes back in. Patrick Femmerling along with Donald Watts and Todd McCullough gets a warm ovation as he goes to sit down with 21 points and 16 rebounds. Mike Batiste and Jeremy Veal back in the game. Batiste with 14, Veal with 12. Lewis rolls it in.
There's a good example of what we've been talking about, Steve. When they come down and they have a sense of purpose in their offense and they're patient, they come up with high-quality shots.
But they can't stop that. That high-low has absolutely killed them in this game, and that might be the 4th foul on Mike Batiste. It's against Bobby Laser. It is, and that is Bobby Laser's 4th foul. So Patrick Femmerling will go to the foul line. Young man from Dusseldorf, Germany. His foul shooting leaves a little bit to be desired.
You know, early on in his youth, he was a soccer player. Played 9 years of soccer. Can you believe he was a goalie?
Maybe he should kick it in.
He was a goalie.
Well, couldn't get it over his head. That's one thing. Veal trying to push it away from Watts. He pushes Watts away. The rebound by Bobby Laser, and he just kind of slams it in off the glass.
Donald Watts has done a very effective job of forcing Jeremy Veal to have to work very hard to find good shots.
How about that smarts by Bobby Laser? He knocked it out of Pat Pemberling's hands, and as soon as he knew he was going to slide out of bounds, he immediately called for a 20-second timeout. Well, Fox Sports News will come your way right after the ball game. Again, all of the scores from the Pac-10 Conference and some good games on tap tonight, like Oregon State taking on UCLA, and Washington State was really testing Arizona last time we checked. Bobby Laser has 4 fouls, but let's check that last basket.
Bobby Laser, the last 3 or 4 weeks has found a rebounder as there's been in the Pac-10 Conference. In the 2 games coming into this one, he had 27 rebounds.
Had a rough evening tonight. Veal spinning inside, gets called for the travel. They once again had a chance to close within 13 points, but were denied. It has been mainly 15, 17, 18-point lead for the Huskies in the second half. And it's tapped in. Who they giving it to? As Thompson tried to feed it to a teammate. They're giving it to Jason Patton. Now the freshman Michael Johnson dribbles forecourt. They double him. Jason Patton with the foul. What happens here, George?
Well, you have 2 6'4" guards trapping the point guard. The ball deflected off of Patton's hand right into the basket. It's probably the only good luck the Sun Devils have had thus far in this game.
That is the second foul on Jason Patton. Michael Johnson, one of the most talented scorers in Washington high school history. At the free throw line, Johnson was Washington Mr. Basketball, their all-time scoring leader in the state with over 2,000 points. Averaged 27 last year at Ballard High in Seattle. This is the second. The lead is 14. Batiste. And it is won by Thalo Green. The steal, though, by Veal. And it's out of bounds to Washington. Bob Bender will have a timeout. His club leads by 14 points with 9 minutes and 5 seconds left. Washington will go against Arizona this Saturday in what could be a classic, because last year it was the Huskies upsetting the defending national champions, the Wildcats, here in Seattle. That's a 3 o'clock Pacific time game here on Fox Sports Net.
The Wildcats have always found it tough to play here at Hec-Ed.
And Todd McCullough has been very, very good. But I think A.J. Bramlett has turned into a fine defensive player and a good role player for Lute Olson. Wooten turned it over, forced by Jeremy Veal. Jan Wooten thought he got fouled. Shot an angry glance at the official. Okay, there's 9 minutes left, George. What can they do? They're down 14. They haven't played well. You've got to believe that they're going to hit one of those good streaks.
Well, you would think so, but it's certainly a long time coming. In most games of this nature, the team that's behind will make at least one substantial run. But thus far in the game, Arizona State has not been able to mount a substantial offensive run. I think that they've been their own worst enemy offensively because they will not allow themselves an opportunity to get back into the game because they will not alter the tempo of their offense.
Well, Lewis has done his job. 8 points, 8 assists. Leads the nation in assists, better than 9. Johnson trying to inbound, finally does to Donald Watts. There's the double again, and Watts breaks it. Johnson has it ripped away. And he housed with the layup, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point game. Is this the stretch you were talking about?
And I said about 10 minutes ago that I couldn't understand why Arizona State did not go to more full court pressure against a team that has a history of turning the ball over against pressure. Make this team play fast. They want to play slow offensively.
Thalo Green gets the left-handed roll to push the lead back to a dozen.
This has been Thalo Green's best game of the season.
Lewis, nice pass inside, but Jeremy Veal cannot finish. One time this game was tied at 24, and Washington put a blitz 23-8 going to break. Thalo Green has played a solid game, even though he's got to somehow keep his pants up. So Thalo, let's see what happened here. Yeah, he got smacked in the face and then they pulled his pants down. That's not fair, George. That is the first foul on Uri Kelly. And Thalo, you watch him, he's one of those old-time kind of players. You know, he's 6'6", 215, but really an inside player, kind of a little, very crafty inside with little layups and jump hooks.
He actually, I think he's given him a substantial contribution in this game. He's come in, he stayed inside of his abilities, he's taken his shots when he was open, he's really hustled the boards and played solid defense at the other end.
Could have fit in nicely on that 1936 National Championship Washington team that beat DePaul. There's Thalo Green from Salem, Oregon. This is what he does throughout the night. Effort. Thalo Green in Washington with a 12-point lead. Jan Wooten defended Alan Lewis. Jeremy Veal tried to get the 3 to go and cut it to 9, but unable to do that. There's the steal by Jeremy, but right into the hands of Jan Wooten. They got it across in the allotted 10 seconds. Yeah, they used 9 seconds, though, of the allotted 10.
Arizona State needs about 3 good defensive stops in a row. There's the first one. Now at this end, they've got to take advantage of those defensive stops and score.
And there you go. Eddie House charged in so fast, did one of those no-look passes right to the cheerleader in the first row. Unforced errors. That is the story of the Sun Devils' very poor night. 23 turnovers.
I talked to Bob Bender yesterday, and he felt very comfortable. He said, George, if we can keep our turnovers down around 12, then I feel real good about our chances of winning a basketball game.
He's got 18 with almost 7 minutes to go, but he's forced 23. That was #1 on his keys to victory list. Luton catches, shoots, and look at that catch and jam. Patrick Femerling. Mike Batiste missing, laser rebounding, tried to dump it off to Veal, and Veal in the scramble. There will be a held ball situation, and Arizona State will have it. Sometimes you can time things perfectly. Watch Patrick.
Well, when the shot goes up, each Sun Devil player must put a body on someone and block them out. Femerling stood at the high post. No one blocked him out. He had a clear path to the basket for the dunk.
Veal missing the 3, rebounding Luton. They call these guys when the game. Wooten and Luton and 3 dogs. There's the steal by Jeremy Veal. Mike Batiste with a nice finish. So they have cut it to 12 at 72-60. Inside 6 minutes to go.
If the Sun Devils can get this under a double-digit deficit.
McCullough just tapping it in. Rebound number 17. Points 22 and 23. And when you stop McCullough, you stop Washington. In their wins this year, he averages 21 points per game and shoots almost 70% from the floor. In the 2 losses they've had, he only averages 11.5 and 47% shooting. So he's right on pace for a Washington victory. They're making it too easy for him.
Well, a great example. Donald Watts was wide open then. He could have picked it up and shot the jump shot. He stayed patient. He allowed Todd McCullough to come down and get in the low post. He put the ball in there. He said, big fella, they have not proven they can stop you. Take this, and you know what to do with it.
So Washington has put their Big Mac attack on Arizona State as Todd McCullough with 25 points and 18 rebounds.
And as you saw there, the defender guarding Donald Watts, it was at least 4 feet off of him. He did not bow to the temptation to shoot the jumper. He stayed patient and allowed the big man to get down in the hole and operate.
Good athlete, good student. He has a 307 GPA in speech and hearing science, a GTE academic salute to Todd McCullough. Last year, a Pac-10 academic All-American. Todd also a volleyball and a badminton star at high school. And he was also a Playboy All-American this year. And we all know what a highly respected basketball magazine that is.
They have a lot of pictures of places I'll never go.
Alan Lewis went long with a 3-pointer. Donald Watts trying to back his way in, and Luton catches and fires, and he is now 5 for 18. When you take 18 shots, George, you should at least make 5.
One of the big differences in the basketball game has been that Washington has been able to find more open looks at the basket than Arizona State. Arizona State has had to labor on every possession to find a good shot, and most times they were unable to find a good shot, so they forced the shot up.
Jason Patton missing. As soon as he catches the ball, it's 1-0. 4:20 to go. The lead is 18, 78-60. All Washington. They have played well. And I'm sure Bob Bender will be proud of the way his team never really let Arizona State come back in this game. Dion Luton. Another 3 for Dion. Jeremy Veal just struggles it off and finally picked up by Jason Patton.
You look out on the floor now, and all the Arizona State players are in an erect defensive position. They have nothing left in their legs.
And Washington, meantime, just somehow finds our star, Todd McCullough. He now has 27 points, and he has tied a career best with 20 rebounds. I wonder who our player of the game is going to be. I think when you get a 27-20 game, you're a candidate. Here's the pick, the roll, and the flash to the hoop and foul by Arizona State.
Great court awareness by the guards for the University of Washington. They recognize that Todd McCullough is really laboring up and down the floor now. So they're slowing the pace down. They're waiting for him to get into an offensive position and giving him a chance to get a little breather on offense. When you're tired, you rest on offense. You do not rest on defense.
And McCullough right now has had one other 20-20 game in his career, and it was against Arizona State 2 years ago, February 29th, against these Sun Devils right here in Seattle. Bob Bender gunning for his 9th win in 11 games this year. He's well on his way with a 19-point lead. Beautiful look at downtown Seattle, and there's the big man in the big city, Todd McCullough, a double-double in each half. He has 28 points, 20 rebounds by Big Province. Femmerling with a nice rebound outlet. Dion Luton, and he comes streaking down the floor. And will be at the free throw line for 2 shots. 2 minutes and 58 seconds left. Arizona State on their way to their 5th loss of the season, as Washington trying to stretch the record to 9-2 this year. Foul goes against Jeremy Veal, his 3rd foul, or Jason Patton, excuse me, his 3rd foul. Well, on Fox Sports News tonight, Barry Switzer resigns. Check that out. Randy Moss goes pro. He's that great star from Marshall, the wide receiver, and James Worthy. And check out the entire NBA. The alley-oop to Uric Kelly is no good, and it is knocked out of bounds. It still belongs to Arizona State. But are you surprised, George, that Arizona State really has done very little to try and take away the low post offense of Washington?
I'm extremely surprised that they have not altered their defense to force Washington to have to go to a second option in order to get the ball inside. They've continued to stand behind McCullough, allow him to receive the easy entry pass. He's got 5 inches on his defender. He's just simply turning around and putting the ball in the basket.
Give McCullough 30 points now, 20 rebounds. What a game for Todd McCullough. A very good pass, the way they broke that pressure. Traveling against Alan Lois. Well, how do you think Washington is going to fare against Arizona this Saturday on Fox Sports Net?
I think that Washington will play very well. 1, because they're at home. 2, because they feel confident that they can beat Arizona. They've done it before here, and certain teams have another team's number, and Washington feels they have Arizona's number.
I think Cool Hand Luke will find a way of slowing down McCullough down low.
Well, what Bob Bender better be concerned about is not whether Luke can stop McCullough. He better figure out a way to stop those 3 guards, Bibby, Simons, and Dickerson. Dickerson and Terry are coming home to their area code.
Both usually play well here. Dion Luton at the foul line. He has 17 points in the game. The foul went against Jeremy Veal, his 2nd. Luton, he's got 17 points, but he's taken 19 shots. The one thing I'm sure Bob Bender is very proud of is the fact that his team was not looking ahead. They knew how important this game was. He said Arizona's going to be easy to get up for, and let's make sure we take care of business in this contest, and they have.
I watched their 2-hour practice yesterday, and Bob constantly stressed to Femmerling and McCullough that I need 40 minutes of consistent contribution from you. You guys cannot enter and exit the game. You've got to give me 40 minutes of all-out effort, and they certainly have given it to him in this game.
No question, and particularly his big man, Todd McCullough, as he grabbed a career-high 21 rebounds to go with his 30 points. McCullough, the 2nd time he has gone over 30 this year. Last time he went for 33 against Portland, including the game winner at the buzzer. Washington by 19.
Oh, fuck.
Ditka has it ripped by Veal. Veal to Jason Patton. Oh, misses the jam. Nice move by Jeremy Veal, but too little too late at the 1:10 mark, down by 17 points. And if you're Don Newman, you've got to be thinking, you know what? If we can get a split in Washington, that ain't bad. So they've got to go to Washington State and take on the Cougars on Sunday. But the Cougars, even though they're limited athletically this year, they always play hard for Kevin Eastman. And Michael Johnson goes deep.
Based on the way the Sun Devils have played in this particular game, it's probably good that they don't play the Cougars until Sunday, because it'll give Don Newman an opportunity to sit down and really get this team back on track.
Derek Smith missing. And Femerling with the pull. Femerling's got 12 rebounds. McCullough with 21. There's downtown Freddie Brown's son, Brian Brown, and he misses the deep three-pointer with 20 seconds left. The lead is 20. Washington excited about win number 9 as they will entertain Arizona on Saturday. The Twin Towers have combined for 41 points and 33 rebounds. Femerling and McCullough, that's not bad. I think you would have taken a few 41-33 games from your two big guys.
Absolutely.
Well, there's McCullough. Patrick will have to change his name to Fries. Then they could say we've had a Big Mac and fries. They put a blitz on him tonight. All the extras, and Arizona State has just had a miserable evening. Johnson to Dickow. Nope. A foul with 2.4 seconds left with a 20-point lead, and Bob Bender can finally kick back in his chair and say this ball club's 9-2, looking pretty good. The executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer of college basketball is Gary Don Garcia. Tonight's game was produced by Chuck McKean and directed by Michael Ireland. Directors of field operations are Debbie Kilmartin and Joe Washington. Great job by the guys in the truck, our cameramen, audio technicians, everybody. And the game is history as Washington wins by 22 points. I'm sure Bob Bender has plenty to be thrilled about the way his team played against Arizona State.
Well, Bob Bender came in with a game plan that he thought would allow his team to win, and they executed it magnificently. The bottom line is number one job for a coach is to put his team in a position to win. Bob Bender did that. And
they also allowed Arizona State's basketball team to make mistakes, and they made plenty tonight. The 21-26 turnovers, excuse me, as Washington State beats Arizona State 92-70. For George Raveling, I'm Steve Physiak. Good night, everyone. Arizona and Washington coming your way this Saturday on Fox Sports Net. Good night.